Welcome to my channel Super Rare Coins. Today is best top 3 coins. Please don't skip this video. So let's get it started. The 2 new pence 1980 Elizabeth II coin is part of the British decimal coinage system introduced in the United Kingdom on February 15, 1971, known as Decimal Day. This coin represented the second lowest denomination of the new decimal currency at that time, equal to 2/100ths of a pound sterling, 2 pence. The term new pence was used from 1971 to 1981 to help the public distinguish the newly introduced decimal coins from the old pre-decimal coinage, where 12 pence made a shilling and 20 shillings made a pound. The 1980 issue falls within this transitional terminology period and bears the words new pence, which were later changed to simply 2 pence, starting in 1982. The obverse, front, of the 2 new pence 1980 coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who reigned from 1952 until 2022. This portrait was created by the sculptor Arnold Machin, one of the most iconic designs in British coinage history. It shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a delicate and recognizable piece from the royal collection. Around the portrait runs the Latin Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1980, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen Defender of the Faith. This is a traditional part of British coinage, signifying both the monarch's name and her role as the head of state and the Church of England. The reverse, back, of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, a celebrated British artist who created all the original reverse designs for the decimal coinage introduced in 1971. It features the badge of the Prince of Wales, consisting of a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet. A ribbon bears the German motto, Ich/Dien, which translates to, I serve, the traditional motto of the Prince of Wales. Beneath the badge is the denomination new pence, and the number 2 prominently displayed to indicate its value. This design connected the coin to the heir apparent to the British throne, Prince Charles, who held the title of Prince of Wales at that time. The physical characteristics of the 2 new pence coin were standard across the early decimal issues. It has a diameter of 25.91 millimeters, a thickness of 1.85 millimeters, and a weight of 7.12 grams. It was composed of bronze, consisting of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, giving the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color. The edge of the coin is plain, smooth, typical for lower denomination coins. In later years, due to rising metal costs, the composition of 2 pence coins was changed to copper-plated steel from 1992 onwards, but the 1980 issue retains the original bronze composition. The mintage of the 1982 new pence coin was substantial, as it was a widely circulated denomination used in everyday transactions, including small purchases, vending machines, and change, making millions of these coins were struck by the Royal Mint to meet public demand, making it a common coin even decades later. This high mintage means that most examples found today in circulated condition have little to no numismatic premium over their face value of 2 pence. From a numismatic perspective, the 1980 issue is considered common. Circulated coins typically have only face value, while uncirculated (UNC) examples, particularly those found in mint rolls or brilliant uncirculated (BU) sets, may carry a small premium. Proof versions of this coin were also issued in limited quantities within the 1980 proof set, struck using polished dies to create a mirror-like finish. These proof coins are more desirable to collectors and can be valued higher depending on their condition and whether they remain in their original packaging. The historical context of this coin is significant because it was issued during the early years of the United Kingdom's transition to decimal currency, a period that required public education and gradual adaptation. The new pence inscription was meant to clearly distinguish the decimalized pence from the pre-decimal pennies, which had a completely different value system. By 1982, there was changed to 2 pence to reflect that the term new was no longer necessary after a decade of public familiarity. The design elements on both sides carry important cultural and political meanings. The Queen's portrait represents the continuity of the British monarchy, while the Prince of Wales badge reflects the heir to the throne's historical emblem. The inclusion of the motto Ich/Dien emphasizes the principle of service tied to the royal title. Together, these elements made the 2 new pence coin both a functional and symbolic object in British daily life. The production process for the 1980 coins involved striking bronze blanks using high-pressure minting presses at the Royal Mint's facility, which at that time had recently moved from London's Tower Hill to Llantrisant, South Wales, in 1968. The coins underwent quality checks before being distributed through banks and businesses. Because of the durable bronze alloy, many coins from this era have survived in decent condition even after decades of circulation, and the collector's market, 2025, the 2 new pence 1980 coin remains easily obtainable. Circulated examples usually sell for their face value or slightly above if in good condition. Brilliant uncirculated examples can range from 30 pence to £1 depending on demand. Proof coins, especially those from complete 1980 proof sets, may command higher prices, typically between £2 and £5 depending on condition and packaging. The legacy of the 2 new pence coins is also connected to a famous British coinage rarity, the 1983 new pence error coin, where a small number were mistakenly struck with the outdated new pence legend instead of 2 pence. Although the 1980 issue is not part of that error year, it is often collected in context with the earlier new pence coins because it represents the standard version before the changeover. In summary, the 2 new pence 1980 Elizabeth II coin is a common yet historically important piece of British numismatic history. It reflects a period of transition from the traditional pre-decimal system to the modern decimal system, retains classical design elements tied to the monarchy and the Prince of Wales, and remains a nostalgic coin for many collectors who appreciate the early decimal era. Its bronze composition, traditional portrait of the Queen, and heraldic symbolism make it an enduring collectible even if its market value is modest. Next, the 2 new pence 1981 Elizabeth II coin is a significant piece within the early years of the United Kingdom's decimal coinage system, representing a denomination equivalent to 2/100ths of a pound sterling, 2 pence. The term new pence was introduced on British decimal coins beginning in 1971 to help the public distinguish the newly decimalized system from the pre-decimal currency which was in use for centuries prior. By 1981, the 2 new pence was still in the transitional era of this decimal system, as the inscription new pence continued to appear on the reverse until 1981. From 1982 onward, the wording was officially changed to 2 pence. Therefore, the 1981 issue represents the last year in which the 2 pence coin bore the new pence, making it an important date for collectors interested in transitional coinage. The obverse, front side, of the 1981 2 new pence coin features the first definitive decimal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II created by the renowned sculptor Arnold Machin R.A. This portrait, introduced in 1968 and used on coins from 1968 to 1984, depicts the Queen facing right and wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift from Queen Mary. This effigy is characterized by its youthful and refined depiction of the monarch, presenting a serene and elegant profile. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1981, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, translating to Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen Defender of the Faith. The reverse, backside, of the coin bears the badge of the Prince of Wales, a heraldic device designed by Christopher Ironside, who was responsible for the designs of the original decimal series introduced in 1971. The badge features 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet with a ribbon bearing the German motto Ich diene, meaning I serve. This emblem has been associated with the Prince of Wales since the 14th century and symbolizes loyalty, service, and royal heritage. Below this emblem is the denomination inscription new pence and the numeral 2, clearly indicating its value. The physical specifications of the 1981 2 new pence coin are consistent with the original bronze decimal issues. It has a diameter of 25.91 mm, a thickness of 1.85 mm, and a weight of 7.12 grams. The coin was struck in bronze, composed of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, which imparts its characteristic reddish-brown hue. Its edge is plain, smooth, a feature shared by most low-denomination UK decimal coins of the era. This bronze composition remained standard until 1992, when the Royal Mint switched to copper-plated steel for the 1p and 2p coins. The mintage figures for the 1981 2 new pence coin were substantial, as this denomination was a widely used piece of everyday British currency. Tens of millions of coins were minted at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, ensuring a stable supply for circulation. This high mintage means that the 1981 2 new pence is generally considered a common coin, readily available in circulated condition and holding little numismatic premium over its face value. From a historical standpoint, the 1981 issue is notable because it was the final year to bear the new pence. Starting in 1982, the was updated to 2 pence to reflect the end of the transitional period of decimalization, as the public had by then fully adapted to the decimal system introduced a decade earlier. Thus, the 1981 coin marks the closing chapter of an important phase in British monetary history. In terms of numismatic value, the 1981 2 new pence coin is usually worth only its face value, 2p, in circulated condition due to its large mintage and wide availability. However, uncirculated, UNC, and brilliant uncirculated BU examples, particularly those included in annual coin sets, may command a modest premium, often ranging between 30 pence and £1 depending on condition and demand. Proof coins of this date, which were issued in limited quantities as part of the 1981 proof sets, are struck with highly polished dies to achieve a mirror-like field and frosted relief, making them more collectible. These proof versions typically range from £2 to £5 in the modern numismatic market, 2025. The design symbolism of this coin is deeply rooted in British heraldry and royal tradition. The badge of the Prince of Wales not only represents the heir apparent to the throne at the time, Prince Charles, but also reflects centuries of continuity in British royal iconography. The motto, coins.Join, reinforces the theme of service and duty associated with the role of the Prince of Wales, aligning with the broader cultural image of monarchy in the United Kingdom during the late 20th century. From a collector's perspective, the 1981 2 new pence holds a unique place as the end of the new pence series, making it an essential date for those assembling complete runs of British decimal coinage. Collectors often pair the 1981 issue with the 1982 2 pence coin to illustrate the transition. While the coin is not rare, its historical and educational significance elevates its status among both beginner and seasoned numismatists. The minting process for this coin involved mass production using high-speed presses, with bronze planchets being fed through coining presses that struck both the obverse and reverse designs in one blow. Quality control at the Royal Mint ensured that weight, diameter, and metallic composition adhered strictly to British currency standards. As a result of heavy circulation over the past 4 decades, many surviving coins display wear, loss of luster, and surface scratches, while well-preserved specimens remain relatively uncommon in everyday pocket change. In the modern era, 2025, the 1981 2 new pence remains a familiar and accessible relic of the early decimal years. Although the coin is no longer considered scarce, its role as the last new pence issue secures its place in the narrative of British numismatic history. It continues to attract attention from collectors seeking to preserve the legacy of decimalization, and from those who appreciate the artistry of Arnold Mackin's iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth I. In summary, the 2 new pence 1981 Elizabeth II coin is a transitional and historically meaningful piece. It showcases the enduring Mackin portrait, the heraldic Prince of Wales badge, and the final appearance of the new pence. While its market value remains modest due to high mintage, its significance as a closing chapter of an important monetary era makes it an essential acquisition for anyone studying or collecting modern British coinage. Its bronze composition, plain edge, and strong association with the final phase of Britain's decimal transition ensure its continued relevance as both a monetary artifact and a cultural emblem. Next, the 2 new pence 1988 Elizabeth II coin is a decimal British coin that reflects a significant period in the evolution of the United Kingdom's coinage. Originally introduced in 1971 during the decimalization of the British currency, the 2 pence denomination represented 2/100ths of a pound sterling, 2 pence. However, by 1988, the on this coin no longer read new pence, as it did from 1971 to 1981. From 1982 onwards, the term new was officially removed and became simply 2 pence. Therefore, the 1988 issue does not carry the legend new pence, but rather 2 pence, marking it as part of the post-transitional decimal coinage. The obverse, front side, of the 1988 2 pence coin bears the second major portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by British sculptor Raphael Maklauf. This effigy was introduced in 1985 and remained in use until 1997. It depicts the Queen facing right, wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown traditionally worn for the state opening of Parliament. The portrait is more regal and detailed than its predecessor, with a heightened relief and more defined features. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin Elizabeth II D.G. Reg. F.A.D. 1988, which expands to Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen Defender of the Faith. The reverse, backside, of the coin features the iconic badge of the Prince of Wales, designed by Christopher Ironside, who created the original reverse designs for the decimal coinage introduced in 1971. The badge consists of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet. Across the coronet is a ribbon inscribed with the German motto, coins.Join, meaning, I serve, which has been associated with the Prince of Wales since the 14th century. Beneath this heraldic emblem is the denomination 2 pence and the numeral 2, clearly indicating the coin's face value. The physical characteristics of the 2 pence coin in 1988 remain consistent with the earlier bronze issues. It has a diameter of 25.91 mm, a thickness of 1.85 mm, and a weight of 7.12 grams. The coin was minted in bronze, composed of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, which gives it its characteristic reddish-brown color. The edge of the coin is smooth, plain. This composition remained standard for all 2 pence coins from 1971 until 1992, when the Royal Mint switched to a copper-plated steel composition due to rising copper costs. The mintage of the 1988 2 pence coin was substantial, as the denomination was widely used in everyday British commerce, from small purchases to vending machines. Millions were struck by the Royal Mint, based in Llantrisant, South Wales, to meet the demands of circulation. Because of this high mintage, the coin is considered common, and most examples found today in circulated condition have little or no premium above their face value. From a numismatic perspective, the 1988 issue is not considered rare or scarce. Circulated coins usually retain only their face value of 2p, while uncirculated (UNC) examples, especially those found in mint rolls or brilliant uncirculated (BU) presentation packs, may carry a slight premium, often around 30 pence £1. Proof coins, however, were also issued in limited numbers as part of the 1988 proof sets. These proof coins were struck with special polished dies to achieve a mirror-like background and frosted details, making them desirable to collectors. Such proof coins typically hold higher market value, ranging from £2 to £5, depending on condition and packaging. The design symbolism of the Prince of Wales badge reflects the heir apparent to the British throne, Prince Charles, at the time, and emphasizes the historical continuity of British heraldry within modern coinage. The removal of the term "new" from the denomination reflects the completion of the decimalization transition, as by the early 1980s the public was fully accustomed to the decimal system and the term was no longer necessary. The historical context of this coin is notable for being part of the late 20th century British coinage during Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. The late 1980s was a period when the British economy was stabilizing after earlier recessions, and coinage production was steady with no major shortages or interruptions. The 2 pence coin continued to play a significant role in everyday transactions, including being commonly used for change vending machines and small-scale pricing adjustments. The minting process for the 1988 coins involved the production of bronze blanks, followed by high-speed striking at the Royal Mint. Quality control measures ensured that coins met the required weight, size, and metallic composition standards. Because the coins were produced in large numbers and intended for heavy circulation, many show signs of wear, including fading of the surface, luster scratches, and minor corrosion. After decades of use, from a collector's standpoint, the 1988 2 pence coin is an essential component for those assembling a full-date run of UK decimal coins, or for collectors focusing on the Raphael Maklauf portrait. Series 1985-1997. While it does not hold great monetary value, its role in British coinage history makes it relevant for numismatic completeness and the modern market. 2025, the value of a circulated 1988 2 pence coin remains 2p, while uncirculated and proof versions hold modest collector premiums. Its affordability makes it accessible to new collectors, and its historical connection to the transitional period between new pence and 2 pence coins adds educational and historical significance. In summary, the 2 pence 1988 Elizabeth II coin is a widely circulated common denomination that showcases the Raphael Maklauf portrait of the Queen and continues the heraldic tradition of the Prince of Wales badge on the reverse. Though not rare, it represents a specific phase in British decimal coinage history, reflecting the settled nature of the decimal system and the continuing evolution of British currency under Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Its bronze composition, elegant design, and place in everyday British life make it a lasting artifact of the late 20th century monetary system in the UK. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.